Hi and welcome to Nerd of Gamers. The game today we're going to review is called Warlock's Gauntlet. Can currently be found on Deshura. Now, I've already had a little play of this just so I could get a handle of the game, and there's a few bits already that I feel needs to be discussed and commented upon. Now, when we go to the options, one of the things you instantly notice, the perspective looks slightly wrong. Now, in order to set this up for good, proper quality recording on Fraps for YouTube, I set the resolution to 128 by 720. Now, one of the problems is the game seems to just simply take the graphics that it already has, which is all like scaled for if we go look down, sort of like the 1366 or 800 by 600. But the problem is when it puts it into this resolution, rather than using a different size graphic, or what they've done is cut the sides off, they just simply stretch it. So all these graphics around here look slightly elongated, which makes it just slightly distracting to the eye. Now, again, another one of the issues that I have with this, I just want to get these out of the way so I can actually start talk about the positive things later. But yes, one of the other issues I have is with the sound volume. Now, just listen to this. I'm going to put the music volume and then just be prepared to be deafened. Now, this isn't too bad. There are some tracks which absolutely go over the top, but I'm having to talk quite loud. And even if I put it down to a much lower volume on some of the tracks, these become quite noisy. I mean, this is kind of a volume which I think would be kind of suitable for even the mid-amount of the range. So like around here, we don't need it blasting out of us at full volume. And as you can hear, the clicks kind of a nice volume, and that's basically sitting at the lowest level. Now already, just with this music in the background, I'm finding it difficult to hear and talk, so I can set the music down a little bit lower, but then I can barely hear it, and I think in actual fact I've turned it off. Now, one of the nice aspects, which I can now get back onto about the game and the sound aspects, is the 3D sound. Now I'll be applying this for this game, and it is quite an interesting little feature. I don't see many games personally that have used it and used it to the degree of success they have, but there are still one or two issues which we'll come on to. Now, as you can see, I've already got a game in progress, but we're not going to worry about that. We're going to start fresh so we can see some stuff from the start. Now, one of the things you can see is you can choose one or two players. Now, this is local play, not multiplayer. This is actually playing off the same machine. And as we can see over here, they've actually got the player 1 and player 2 controls. You can set it up for mouse and keyboard only. And you've got different options. I mean, you've even able to set up the player 1 to just use pretty much solely mouse only, so they can move entirely by the mouse, so they don't actually have to touch the keyboard, leaving the second player to use the keyboard all for themselves. Now, this I think is quite good, and it kind of harkens back to the old days where you could play two players together. One person would play one side of the keyboard, the other person would play the other side of the keyboard. But as to this game, when it comes, I don't know how well it would actually work in practice. Unfortunately, I haven't had an opportunity to play this with another person, so I'm not able to properly comment. But it is an interesting feature that they put in, and I am glad that they are trying to support it. Now, we'll start off a single player game. As you can see, it's just down here rather than on the sides. Now, one thing. I'll just wait for this because I'm not sure this is even working. Right, there we go. Now, as I was trying to say, one thing, between the different areas, the game just completely and utterly locks up. You get the game not responding, you can't do anything. I don't know how it's being coded, but it just makes me wonder every single time, has the game actually crashed? So it's one thing if they could go back and try and resolve that issue, find out what's going on with it, that would be great. Now, a few things. We've got the standard WASD movement, which is quite handy, and so I think it's a lot better than going to the arrow key movement as standard, as they used to be a long time ago. Because most people would have their mouse on the right hand side, and then if you use the arrow keys, you kind of half your body's twisted off to one side, and you have to turn your head to look at the game. Right, but anyway, so we've got a little portrait of our character. Now this is the health bar just down along over here. We got the mana bar across here, and we got the experience bar along here. Now, if you press escape, you can bring up and check the options. Now, I'm sure I changed you to mouse and keyboard. It just didn't seem to accept it. No, it keeps changing it. Anyway, so you can go through and you can select different spells using what these numbers mean, which spell you want, and also help screen and your ability screen. Now, the ability screen will become important when we come to level up. So as you can see on the ability screen, we got different abilities which are passive, mana and vitality, and we got different abilities which boost our ability to run, take damage, and deal damage. And these are the spells that we've got. We'll be able to acquire some more later. Now for the moment, we'll come down along here. And as you can see, down on we've got a little compass showing, and these little green dots. These show us the directions that we're able to travel in. And we've got different villages that we're able to talk to, because we start off in a nice little safe area. So provide some little bits of information for you so you can interact with the villagers. And as you can see, just some little notes. And so we can go around, yes, and they'll tell us more and more. But here we go, we got one of the first vendors, and they offer a spell for sale. Now at the moment we start off with absolutely no gold, so there's nothing that we can really do about it. But what we can do is we need to try and find something else to do for the moment. Now there was an option to put up the map, but I can't remember where it was right at this moment. Is it in controls? Map. No. I can't remember where the map option was. I wonder if one of these people will tell me. Because there's nothing showing in that help screen what the map option was. Now I wonder if this is recording, because this is one of the areas where it just locks up. Oh, here we go. We're in the middle of combat, and we just got ourselves trapped, and there was nothing that we could do. Now, yeah, we died. There was basically no explanation, no knowledge that we were going into a very dangerous area, and as I've discovered before, some areas are just way too dangerous to actually enter immediately, and you have to get some experience. And there was no way of actually finding out. And just go through there's nothing there. So we'll try that again. And this time, hopefully, we'll actually find the correct path to go. Now, I think it was one along the left-hand side, but I might have to try the upper one. I will just double check to see if I didn't just miss an option somewhere. Left, right, down, combination, slot, keys, help screen and abilities. No, there's definitely nothing there saying what this map was. It was a very handy option, but really, oh, F5. Nothing showing. Right, this is another time where you can see that the images have been stretched. But we start off in Wolfdom, and the safe place that you can actually travel to is the Gargant Forest. Anywhere else just seems to be completely and utterly too dangerous for you. So I think this is the correct path. Yes, this seems to be a bit better. Now, one of the things is, as I was saying, with the 3D sound, when you shoot, if I shoot off to target on the right hand side of the screen, the sound appears in my right speaker. But if I shoot over onto the left hand side of the screen, the sound appears on my left hand speaker. Though it doesn't seem to be doing it too well. I can't really notice it. When I was doing it earlier, it sounded brilliant. No. It's kind of all coming out the same. But it was actually working incredibly well. But it can get a little disorientating. Oh, wonder what those were. There doesn't seem to be much in the way of baddies at the moment. There appear to be no baddies at the moment. Now, I did complete this with a different character at some point. I really hope they just haven't taken all baddies. Again, oh, here we go. And yes, because I stepped back to try and avoid, I stepped into one of the exits, which immediately takes you out. Which is sometimes a problem. Sometimes it's nice for that instant escape, but other times it can be deeply annoying. Oh. There we go. Oh god. That sound, that's just way too sound. And you see, I'm barely turned the sound up. I'm not sure, but some of the places where I was earlier, oh pow, just dead. But yeah, the places where I was earlier, I went through there and there were creatures. I'm really hoping, because I haven't completed with another character, the monsters have all just disappeared from that area. Anyway, I'll go to a character I was playing before so you can actually get a little look of what happens later on. Now, as you can see, we've got some experience. We come through and we've leveled up our vitality, a passive ability. And we've also increased this, which allows us to regenerate health a lot faster. Now, I haven't increased our movement speed or anything like that. And at the moment, we're just kind of trying to go exploring and build up some more experience. As to the actual plot of the game, the characters have talked about it, but I haven't really read that much, and you just seem to basically go from screen up. See, I just saw some monsters, decided to back off for a second, and pow, just moves me out. But of course, all those creatures, yep, they're still all there, all in the same place. There's not much I can actually do about it other than just try and run away and give myself a bit of distance. So, I mean, they do have persistency between even when you move, but that isn't always a good thing, because if you've got yourself trapped and that entrance surrounded, there's going to be very little that you can actually do. And as you can see, combat largely comprises of shooting and moving backwards a bit. And you can use some spells in order to push enemies away or provide different effects. Now, I'm currently trying to kill some of them and desperately hoping that they'll drop a mana potion or something like that so I can get my health back. Now, oh no, just gold, just gold. We got more coming up on us. As you can see, we have been regenerating health back. Now, the only reason why I'm actually getting out of this is because I'm using one of my secondary abilities, well, secondary spell. Whoa, he is not nice. He is not playing nice. He is not playing nice. But one of the secondary spells, it will effectively push people away who are too close. Particularly somebody standing just in front of you. And that's a spell book. Not going to be able to do much about that at the moment. Not with all of these people in the way. But yeah, it's these creatures just taking a beating, and oh, I accidentally hit that. Yes, and you see the creatures were there exactly in the same places where it left. It should be it's kind of a nice thing, but also can be very, very annoying. Because yeah, as I was saying, if you got surrounded, you're just basically screwed. Now, unfortunately, we keep backing ourselves into a corner over here, so we got to try and fight our way out using this spell and pushing our way out. We managed to get there. So, I mean, we're going to quickly take a look at this spell book, see if we can try and push. No, don't have time. Can we? Yes, we can put it in there. And there we go. So, yeah, and as you can see, the combat can just get repetitive. I mean, we keep hitting them and hitting them and hitting them and hitting them. And this other spell seems to do something, but I'm not exactly sure what. It creates a sort of like a QB effect. This other spell I can use, which kind of pushes them along. But yeah, this is kind of what you do. Now, overall, for sort of like a free game, it's good, playable, and you can get a little while play out of it. And if you're willing to just keep grinding along, and I'm sure you could probably get more out of it. But I mean, there's a sort of like a proof of principle of general game style and how you can lay things out. It definitely works, but I think more emphasis needs to be put on story, how you can engage in combat, different spells or different ways of engaging combat, because basically at the moment it's just spamming the one spell. And so yeah, it's just I'd like to see something more from that. Anyway, this game again, Warlock Score, found on Dashura, and as you can see, we can see the team that have made it. You got the core team: Darmok, Legion, Rome, Jackflower, Toxic, Dextro, and then there's been a whole bunch of other people who have worked on the programming and done music for it, and various other bits and pieces. I mean, it has been a good, seems like a fairly big cooperative effort. And it's a disposable 60 spells hidden all over the place. But quite frankly, I'm not that interested in getting that far through it. I mean, yes, have you ever played Gauntlet? Yes. One of the greatest games I think ever produced. But I just don't get that Gauntlet feel. Gauntlet feel, monsters took about 2 or 3 hits. Some of these I'm hitting 20, 30 times before anything happens, and I'm just running around in circles. There's no spawners. Diablo, creatures were quite varied, have some different styles of AI, and if you go into Diablo 2, then they started taking on some limited group AI. GTA is a racing game, which, what is that got anything to do with this? But anyway, definitely take a look, have a little play around with it, but it's not something I'd probably personally put that much time into. But if this group or some of the people behind it went on to create another game, it's definitely something I'd be taking interest in looking at. Anyway, that's all for now. Hope you've enjoyed, and I'll catch you another time.